There is something beyond logic when two deeply connected souls meet. Sometimes you don't need a single word, a physical presence, or direct confirmation. You only need to feel. If suddenly your heart races for no apparent reason, if thoughts flood your mind like distant whispers, if your dreams become too vivid to be mere coincidence, perhaps someone is thinking of you intensely, and perhaps that someone is your twin flame. In this video, we will explore the signs that echo through the soul when this invisible connection is activated, not as mere chance, but as the reflection of an archetypal, profound, and mysterious bond revealed in the light of Carl Jung's teachings. Prepare to recognize the signs that do not come from the outside, but from the deepest part of your being. If you have ever felt this inexplicable connection, comment below. My soul recognizes the call. The idea of twin flames may sound mystical, but in light of Carl Jung's analytical psychology, it takes on symbolic and profound contours. Jung never used the term twin flame directly, but his ideas about the wholeness of the human psyche and archetypes help us understand the phenomenon more clearly. At the heart of this connection lies the process of individuation, the journey toward integrating all the internal aspects that make up the self. According to Jung, each human being carries within themselves an unconscious counterpart. Men possess the archetype of the feminine, called the Anima, while women carry the masculine, called the animus. When we encounter someone who powerfully mirrors that counterpart, we feel as though we are facing a living reflection of our own soul. It is this sensation that is often described as meeting one's twin flame. The relationship with a twin flame frequently awakens intense projections because it directly activates unconscious contents that need to be integrated. The other is not merely a partner, they are a mirror, and so, when that person thinks intensely of you, something within you is touched. A memory, an emotion, an unspoken desire, everything vibrates in harmony. This is the soul trying to recognize itself. The signs that arise in these moments, unexplainable physical sensations, symbolic dreams, synchronicities, are manifestations of the unconscious attempting to bring a deep truth to light. The connection between twin flames, then, is not just about romance or destiny. It is about awakening, and this awakening echoes in the soul as a call that cannot be ignored. When two deeply connected souls meet, or even merely think of each other intensely from afar, there is a psychic activation that transcends the emotional or the rational. Jung taught us that every human carries within their psyche an unconscious counterpart. The man houses the archetype of the anima, while the woman carries the animus. These internal figures represent everything that has been repressed, projected, or left undeveloped from the opposite gender aspect with which we identify. And it is precisely through the twin flame that these archetypes tend to be activated with greatest force and clarity. When your twin flame thinks of you, this energy activates those internal figures, evoking intense sensations, mental images, and even symbolic dreams. It is as though the unconscious responds to this internal summons, bringing to the surface contents that were once dormant. This process can be overwhelming, for it stirs the deepest layers of the psyche, not only romantic feelings but also traumas, idealizations, wounds, and expectations. The anima, for instance, often appears in a man's dreams as a mysterious, captivating woman full of symbolism. Conversely, the animus may emerge for women as an enigmatic man, sometimes wise or authoritative, depending on their stage of psychic development. When the twin flame is thinking of you, the activation of these internal images can intensify. This shows up in subtle ways: a sudden sense of presence, an unexpected memory, or an inexplicable urge to reconnect with that person. This happens because the connection is not superficial. It resonates within the deepest archetypes that shape our perception of the other and of ourselves. The anima and the animus are not just representations of the feminine and the masculine, but are pathways to wholeness, to the union of the conscious with the unconscious. And the twin flame is often the catalyst for that process. It is important to understand that this activation can also cause confusion. What one feels is not always pleasant. At times, when the twin flame thinks of you, it awakens insecurities, fears, even rejection, because the archetype is being called into consciousness. This is a rare opportunity for self-awareness. Jung said that the encounter with the true anima, or animus, is not a romantic fusion, but a confrontation with everything that needs to be recognized and integrated within us. In other words, When you feel your twin flame's presence, what is truly occurring is a summons from the self, the psychic totality, for you to look inward. The energy coming from the other is, in fact, a mirror of what still needs to be embraced internally. The anima and the animus act as bridges between the inner world and the outer world. Thus, the feelings that arise in this connection often defy logical sense, but carry profound symbolic meaning. By noticing these signs, whether through dreams, sudden memories, or an inexplicable intuition, a person begins to recognize that this bond is more than passion. It is a portal to individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are by integrating the opposites within you. The twin flame, therefore, is not the final destination, but the necessary mirror for this journey to occur. And so, even if the physical presence is absent, when your twin flame thinks of you, your soul feels it. And that sensation is not an illusion. It is a symbolic activation, an invitation to dive into yourself and awaken what has not yet been fully lived. One of the most intense manifestations in the twin flame experience is the phenomenon of projection. Carl Jung described projection as the mechanism by which we attribute to the other what we cannot unconsciously recognize or integrate in ourselves. In the twin flame connection, this process becomes especially powerful, for the other acts as a psychic mirror of our depths, revealing not only our highest dreams, but also our darkest fears. When you sense that your twin flame is thinking of you, this bond resonates like an internal mirror that intensely activates the unconscious. The mirroring is not a romantic fantasy, but an archetypal process in which the other becomes the bearer of your most repressed or idealized contents. The love you feel for this person, for instance, may actually be the love you could never direct toward yourself. Likewise, the anger, frustration, or sense of abandonment you perceive in the other may express parts of you that are still wounded and not embraced. Thus, the twin flame operates as a living portal to the unconscious. Everything you project onto the other, the perfection, the salvation, the meaning of life, are unrecognized parts of your own psyche. Jung asserted that until projection is withdrawn, one cannot see the other as they truly are. And in this kind of connection, projections are inevitable, for the emotional intensity transcends the ordinary. When your twin flame thinks of you, these projections activate. You might feel an abrupt urge to reach out, a sudden emotion without explanation, or even unexplained physical symptoms. What is happening is an energetic reverberation echoing between both unconscious minds. This mirroring is painful because it forces you to confront what you have denied. Sometimes what bothers you most in the other is exactly what you refuse to see in yourself. And that is why the twin flame relationship can feel paradoxical, because alongside an irresistible attraction, there can also be repulsion or deep fear. This is because the mirror shows not just the beautiful, but everything that needs healing and transformation. There comes a point in the process when the soul begins to understand that the twin flame did not come to complete you, but to awaken you. Jung called this moment the withdrawal of projection, a stage in which the individual starts to turn inward and recognize that everything they see in the other is, in essence, part of themselves. The intensity of the bond does not vanish, but transforms. It ceases to be an external obsession and becomes an internal bridge toward consciousness. This emotional and psychic impact is also an invitation to balance. Projection only stops being an obstacle when it becomes conscious. The twin flame, by provoking pain, absence, silence, or ecstasy, is actually offering the chance for integration. Every sensation that arises when the other thinks of you is a call to self-observation. What is this emotion trying to show me? Which part of myself is being reflected right now? By realizing that mirroring is inevitable but also necessary, suffering gains a new meaning. It ceases to be a burden and becomes a map. Jung taught us that the true encounter is not with the other but with our own unconscious, and the twin flame, no matter how distant or silent, remains the living mirror of that journey. Thus, if you feel your soul vibrate when this person thinks of you, know that what manifests is not just longing or desire, but a symbolic summons to look inward. The mirror does not lie, it reveals, and the soul recognizes. When Jung introduced the concept of synchronicity, he proposed a revolutionary idea. Certain external events that appear random are meaningfully connected to internal states of the psyche. They do not occur through direct causality, but by a symbolic link between the outer world and the unconscious. In the context of the twin flame connection, synchronicities become not only common, but profoundly striking. especially when one is thinking intensely of the other. It's as if the universe itself organizes to reflect this hidden bond through signs that speak directly to the soul. These signs can manifest in countless ways: repeated numbers, specific songs playing unexpectedly, improbable encounters, symbolic objects, or even phrases uttered by strangers that touch intimate issues. None of it is mere chance. When the twin flame thinks of you, the energetic field between you activates, and the unconscious begins projecting external symbols that translate this bond. In this process, the soul recognizes the message before the rational mind can interpret it. These occurrences share something in common. They defy logic and awaken a sense of profound meaning. You might be thinking of the person and suddenly see their name somewhere, or feel a strong presence and then receive a message from them. Linear time seems to fold, and what was unlikely becomes evident. Jung saw in these events the manifestation of the self, the totality of the psyche trying to express and guide the ego. When two souls are connected archetypally, each unconscious can trigger the symbolic world to communicate this connection. What makes these signs so potent is that they do not speak to logic, but to the language of archetypes, primeval images inhabiting the collective unconscious. A butterfly appearing repeatedly, an animal showing up in dreams, a particular color or symbol recurring. These are all archetypal expressions pointing to what is moving within. When the twin flame is present in the energetic field, the unconscious finds ways to make the invisible visible, and the soul recognizes these signs because they resonate with ancient internal images. It is important to pay attention to the feeling accompanying these experiences. According to Jung, synchronicity always comes with significant emotional charge. It is not about forcing interpretations, but perceiving the symbolic impact of what occurs. When something seemingly ordinary provokes an intense emotion or a sense of "this is important," it is likely a meaningful symbolic manifestation. This is the unconscious's language, and it does not lie. Moreover, dreams become privileged vehicles for this communication. When the twin flame thinks of you, they often appear in your dreams, not only as a literal figure but through metaphors and images demanding interpretation, an embrace that never happens, an endless search, a labyrinth, a reunion. Each symbol carries a message about the soul state and the connection. Jung believed dreams were the royal road to the unconscious, and in this case they become even more revealing. The soul-to-soul link expresses itself through dream images that transcend time and space. These signs do more than confirm a connection. They are invitations to consciousness. The presence of the twin flame in the psychic field reminds you of what still needs understanding, integration, or release. It is not uncommon that by following these symbolic clues, a person encounters profound inner transformations. The symbol, as Jung taught, always points to something greater than itself. It is a portal to the sacred. Therefore, when you begin to notice the world responding to your feelings in symbolic and inexplicable ways, do not doubt. It may be your twin flame thinking of you, but more than that, it may be your own soul calling for deeper listening. The synchronicities and signs are not only out in the world, they are inside you, echoing the mystery of a connection that cannot be explained, but must be lived. No journey of self-discovery is complete without the encounter with the shadow. That aspect of the psyche Jung described as everything the ego does not recognize in itself, everything repressed, rejected, or forgotten over a lifetime. And in the twin flame connection, the shadow plays a central role. This relationship, due to its symbolic and emotional intensity, has the power to bring forth the most hidden layers of being, not for punishment or suffering, but for integration and healing. When you feel your twin flame thinking of you, often what resurfaces is not only love or longing, but also pain, fear, rejection, and anger. And that is not a mistake. It is part of the process. The twin flame acts as an amplified mirror of the shadow. What you see in them and cannot accept often reflects what you have yet to embrace in yourself. The conflicts, the distances, the silences, and the disappointments marking this journey are not merely external circumstances, but symbolic manifestations of the inner struggle between ego and shadow. Jung said that integrating the shadow is essential for individuation, for without acknowledging what lies in darkness, one can never reach the light of wholeness. When this person thinks of you, the emotional and energetic field that activates can trigger intense reactions. You may feel insecure, abandoned, needy, or even angry for no apparent reason. But in truth, the cause lies in the unconscious. The symbolic presence of the twin flame touches directly on where the shadow resides, and instead of rejecting these emotions, the true invitation is to welcome, understand, and integrate them. This process is demanding. Integrating the shadow does not mean agreeing with everything it represents, but recognizing that it exists and is part of who you are. It means understanding that light shines not by denying darkness, but by passing through it. The twin flame, therefore, becomes not a romantic refuge but a catalyst for necessary confrontation. Many flee this relationship because they cannot bear what it awakens internally. But those who remain with courage and awareness, even in distance, transform pain into expansion. There is also a crucial aspect: the collective shadow. Sometimes what manifests in the twin flame relationship does not concern only your personal history, but carries the weight of familial, cultural, and ancestral patterns. Repeated cycles of abandonment, patterns of rejection, fear of surrender, difficulty trusting, all this may relate to a shadow not only yours, but of the collective to which you belong. And by confronting it, you not only heal yourself, but contribute to the healing of a broader field. Another important point is that the twin flame often appears in your life precisely when you are ready to confront parts of yourself that were dormant. The other awakens in you not only idealized love, but also the fury of unresolved abandonment, the pain of childhood rejection, the fear of full surrender. All this comes to light not because the other is doing something wrong, but because the unconscious proposes an encounter with your rawest truth. And when that person thinks of you, even from a distance, this symbolic connection reactivates these contents. You feel it in your body, in your soul, in your unconscious. What matters is how you deal with it. Rejecting the shadow perpetuates suffering. Integrating it transforms pain into awareness. The twin flame relationship is, in essence, an initiatory journey. It is the self's call through the other. It is life asking you to become whole. And being whole means looking honestly at all parts of yourself, the ones you love and the ones you hide. The shadow is the path. Integration is the destination. And the twin flame is the sacred mirror that makes this movement possible. So when their presence echoes within you without warning, remember, it is not just them thinking of you. It is you being summoned to become who you truly are, with light, shadow, and truth. There is a reason why certain connections defy time, distance, and even logic. When two deeply intertwined souls touch, even if only in thought, something greater than them moves. Jung showed us that the unconscious speaks through images, emotions, and symbolic signs. And in this context, the twin flame connection is not a whim of fate, but an archetypal experience revealing everything that needs to be seen, embraced, and transformed. The signs that emerge when that person thinks of you are not illusions. They are invitations to inner listening. They show that the journey is not about the other, but about your own wholeness. The presence of the twin flame activates the anima, the animus, the shadow, and the self, psychic forces that drive the awakening of consciousness. If you have felt at any point in this video that something within you was touched, do not ignore it. Honor that call, subscribe to the channel, and continue following content that deepens this soul journey. And don't forget, click on the video appearing on the screen now. It might be the next step in your inner transformation. Your soul knows the way. You only need to listen.